I am going to jump on the bandwagon and do a personal curriculum of my own. However, I'm extremely busy, so mine's going to look a little bit different than most people's. Hey Dragonlings, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sky. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SD Haggis, and today we're going to be talking about the personal curriculum. I have seen various TikToks and videos talking about the personal curriculum. There's been a few people who have attempted it on their own. They've recorded their different journeys with that. I will leave some of those videos listed below, but please note there's a whole bunch more than what I am listing. And I have decided to do my own because I love learning. There's a few things that I do need to put time and effort into learning, things I need to study for my own craft, for my own projects moving forward. And just because there are things that I want to reestablish in my head. So I have made my own. However, I am extremely busy. I have a lot going on. There is 4 people in my household between me, my husband, and my 2 kids. We got 3 people who are driving, but we only have 1 vehicle. 2 adults are working, and then my oldest has actually got a job of her own that she's been doing during the winter. I don't know how long that's going to continue. She's working for a snow removal company right now, who also owns, the same company owns a set of apartments. So when there's no snow removal to do, she's been helping do apartment repairs and like painting and stuff like that. So between those 2 things, I don't know how long she's going to be working, but it's kind of one of those days, hey, is she free tomorrow kind of things? And she goes and she works, and yeah, so we've had to work around that. And between all of us, there's 1 vehicle. I think I mentioned that, but yeah. So 4 people, 3 of which are working, and there's 1 vehicle. The mental load it takes just to schedule and make sure everyone gets where they need to be when they need to be there. Yeah. However, a little bit goes a long way, and that is what my plan is for the personal curriculum. I only want to do 30 minutes a day towards each of my topics. Now, let me go into detail about what that is. That being said, there are days that I have scheduled PE exercise, and those will increase to like an hour a day, 30 minutes for the subject at hand, 30 minutes for the exercise activity. So that's the only exception. But each of my topics, basically, I will be dedicating 30 minutes to. That's it. Monday, 30 minutes. Tuesday, 30 minutes. Wednesday, 30 minutes. Each day is dedicated to a different topic. Let's get into that. So, the subjects I'm going to be devoting to are subject to change. Anyways, but I kind of wanted to make it more like a school system, and there are core classes that students have to study, and I wanted to go by those core classes, those core subjects. So I've got those subjects as well as a couple of like extracurriculars, as you will. Monday is going to be devoted to language arts. And what I'm going to be studying is that Stephanie Whitson, who does homeschooling, shared one of her curriculums that she was doing for her kids. And I was like, ooh, those are all books I haven't read. I want to do that. I want to take this curriculum. It's got questions already posed. It's got like study subjects. Like, I want to do this. So what I'm going to be doing is that, and it's called it's an 8th grade homeschool curriculum. I will leave a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. But it's got assigned reading. It's got questions for the different assigned readings. It goes over novels, poetry, Shakespeare. It's got a little bit of everything. And I was just interested in checking it out, especially since the last book on the curriculum is a book I've been meaning to read that starts a series that I have the whole series of, but I haven't read it. So that's actually kind of what sealed the deal for me. And I was like, yes, this. So Monday, language arts. Tuesday is going to be dedicated to social studies or history. And please do not take this wrong. I promise it's not what you think. Maybe. Maybe it is what you think. But I'm going to be studying a memoir, biography. Not quite certain what to call it because I'm not positive what it is. But that is How to Make Love Like a Porn Star by Jenna Jameson. I'm pretty certain this is a biography memoir. It is a chunky beast, and I'm not gonna lie, the cover is what pulled me in. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be spending 30 minutes on Tuesday reading this book and making notes, because I have a character who, in a different series, this is her career. This is what she does for a living, except she does it on, she is an OnlyFans girl. So I did want to study this topic. Not for me personally, but for a character I plan on writing in the future. And Jenna Jameson is one of the most famous porn stars that I know about. So I've actually had this for a few years because, again, the cover pulled me in and I wanted to know more about it. Between working at a movie gallery once upon a time where we had an adult room and I saw a lot of her films come through, and the fact that I worked at a used bookstore where I bought this and we did not have a lot of stuff like this come through, I find the topic interesting. So again, don't take it wrong, but I want to study the topic. And I'm going to start with this because I already got this. As I'm editing this video, I want to go ahead and make my position well known that I firmly believe that sex work is real work. And one of the reasons I am trying to study up on this topic is because there are so many stereotypes about how it works. And yes, I realize that some of those stereotypes are based on fact, but some of them are based on the notion that sex work is not a real job, that people only do it because they have nowhere else to turn to, that people don't willingly choose it, and that it's a derogatory profession. So I wanted to make my stance clear on that real quick before I continue on. Because I want it known that part of the reason I am studying it is because of that fact, because I want to know the fact from what has been said over the years based on assumptions instead of fact. So let me add that real quick before we continue on so everyone knows where I stand and one of the reasons I am studying this. And I am starting with this book, but I have other books and biographies in mind, as well as people I'm interested in possibly interviewing in the future if I get that far. So, carry on with your video now. So, for my social studies and history on Tuesdays, 30 minutes of this and making notes. Wednesday is one of those days where I have an extracurricular because I've got PE or exercise, and I'm also doing 30 minutes of math. I found a site called Math Planet that has like worksheets and stuff and like online questionnaires where you can practice your math skills, and I'm going to be using that again 30 minutes on Wednesdays to do some math. Interrupting myself once again to explain that at the time of filming this, I hadn't decided what exactly on that math site I was going to study. Since then, I have discovered that they have beginner classes for learning Python, which is a programming code used to create video games, website, and other things on the internet. And so that is actually the first subject I am starting with as I continue on with the personal curriculum. After I have studied Python, I don't know what I'm going to study next, but I found that on the site and I was really excited because there was other Python classes I was going to do eventually, but they were all paid classes. So to find a beginner friendly that looks like it was aimed towards maybe middle school or high school students in order to teach them programming and find it for free on the internet, yes please, I will take it. So that is currently what I am studying for mathematics, is Python, which is a coding program for computers. So that's exciting, and I am super enthusiastic about studying that. And then I also want to do 30 minutes on the treadmill. I take my showers in town at the Civic Center where there is gym equipment on Wednesdays, and so that would be perfect. I could do 30 minutes on the treadmill and then take my shower before I come home to get everyone ready to where they need to go. So I thought that was perfect. Thursday's topic is science. Again, I wanted to use this as research for a book project I will have in the future. And I'm going to be watching a show called Life After People. This is one that's been on my radar for a while, and I finally found a place where I can actually watch whole episodes of it. So I'm going to be checking that out. And I'm actually really excited about that because, again, I've been wanting to watch it for years, and that does have a lot of significance on a fantasy project I have hopefully coming out in a few years. I'm really excited about that. We'll talk about that more in the future. Friday is language. Not to be confused with language arts. Language arts is more English. Language is foreign language. I did not write foreign language though, because the first one I want to study is sign language. My kids and I found these sign language sheet cards at Walmart one day while we were down in North Carolina, and we were just perusing. And sign language is a language I've wanted to learn. I do know most of the sign language alphabet, but this supposedly goes into more detail with some numbers, and it follows ASL standards. So I want to study these, and then I found an app as well that helps you learn sign language phrases and topics. So I wanted to get into that. So between these sheet cards and the app, I hope to learn some more sign language. So 30 minutes a day on Fridays, sign language. Saturday is full of extracurriculars. And again, there's 2, so I'll be devoting 30 minutes to each one. And the first one is actually going to alternate. Every other week is going to be something different. And that's because I've got both art and music. So one Saturday I'll do art, one Saturday I will do music. And I'm going to devote my time alternating between the 2. With art, I've got different projects planned. I used to do a lot of scrapbooking, so I can do scrapbooking. I've got coloring pages that I can do. I've got loom knitting I can do. I've got some diamond paintings I can do. I've got various different projects that I'm going to work on. So I will never be without a activity to do. And then with the music, I used to play flute in middle school. I stopped when we moved to a specific school because it turned out I was 2 years behind. It's a long story. We won't get into that. But I do miss playing the flute. During COVID, when my kids were doing band, we bought instruments for each other, or we bought instruments for everyone, and I bought a new flute after I had sold mine a long time ago. But I bought a new flute. It is blue, it is very pretty, and I want to start using it again. I bought myself some new music books, including the one I started off with when I first started learning flute, and I'm basically going to go through those books, and I'm going to reteach myself how to play the flute. I'm really looking forward to that. So on Saturdays, I will alternate each Saturday with those 2 things, art and music. But on top of that, I will also be continuing to do, you guessed it, exercise, PE. Saturday is going to be devoted to weightlifting. I used to do weightlifting in high school, and I miss doing weightlifting. I keep telling myself I'm going to do weightlifting, and this is the year. 2026 is the year I'm going to get back into doing weightlifting. When I first start doing it, I'm going to be starting with just the bar because it's been way too long since I've done anything, and I will probably be doing it by myself. Eventually my goal is to have like a home gym, but we are not at that point yet, and I don't know when we will. I bought an ab machine for myself in 2025 thinking we were going to clear out space for it, and we still haven't cleared out space for it, so oops. So that is that. And then Sunday, the final day of the week, I have one last extracurricular, and it's not very big. It's going to be mostly a rest day. However, I am doing exercise that day with my PE of another 30 minutes of treadmill. So there you have it. I have PE 3 days a week, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hopefully this will be the last one, but I have one last interjection to make, and that is the fact that as of editing this video, I have already changed up my workout schedule. A lot of it dealt with the fact that the same week that I started implementing the schedule, we had sleep studies at work, which means that on weeks like that, I have to go in half an hour later so that I can clean PT and not disturb patients who are doing a sleep study. So what I ended up doing was still going into work at the same time, but instead of going directly to work, I went across the street where the Civic Center was, and I did my workout, and then I went to work, and when I got off work, I took my shower the next day. So that changed how and what days I was doing things. So my workouts are actually going to be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Those are the 3 days I'm doing workouts. Now, mostly I'm going to be concentrating on doing a treadmill. I have seen and heard all kinds of horror stories about incidents happening in gyms, and I don't want to be one of those statistics. I am a woman. I work nights, which means I'm going into the gym late in the evening, and I'm going by myself most of the time, and I don't want to put myself in a position where anything could happen. And the other day I went to go do my first workout in the weightlifting room. It is a small room completely filled to the brim with various types of weightlifting equipment, which is not the problem. The problem is that it is such a small room. There's only one exit, and I walked in to see three largely built men who were not threatening in any kind of way. I'm not trying to say that there was anything dangerous about them, don't get me wrong. But again, I don't want to put myself into a difficult situation. And these were three men I did not know. I was by myself. There was no one with me. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I just walked in, saw them, turned around, and left. And I was like, yep, we are not working out today. And I went and got on the treadmill instead, which is a larger room and harder to get trapped in, basically. Because that's the biggest thing, is that I didn't want to get trapped in a room if something did happen. And that weight room was so small and so confined that I was just like, she didn't say the magic word. So we did not do that. And instead I did treadmill 3 days last week instead of any weightlifting. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm looking at possibly doing a at-home gym, and why I got the ab machine, and why I'm looking into getting possibly some dumbbells, and why I've got some other equipments, including some like dance fitness videos. So I've got options. It's just a matter of starting to implement those options. But one of the things that's stopping me now when setting up my ab machine, which is still in its box, is the fact that the area I was supposed to set it up in, it's larger than I thought it was going to be. I miscalculated how big the machine was, and then because of that, it takes up more room than I thought it would. And then I do not currently have a space to put it where it will be like safely storable afterwards, like be able to take it out and put it away easily. So that's the biggest thing right now. So that's going to be my next step, is cleaning up an area where I can set that up and start using it, because that will take the place of what was originally supposed to be weightlifting. So at least for now, I'm taking things a day at a time, and I'll figure it out as I go. But for now, when I go to the gym, I'll be working on doing stuff on the treadmill and just getting my steps in and building up my cardio. They do have dumbbells in the cardio room, so I can work on a couple of things dealing with the dumbbells while I'm on the treadmill, or even when I get off the treadmill. There's some exercises that I have in mind to do there. So I have options, but weightlifting is not going to be one of those options unless I am not by myself. I would rather have someone with me who I know, or if there are people in that room, they are people that I know. So weight training itself is off the table for the moment, and I'll pick it back up eventually. Whether that happens while we're still here and going to this civic center and working out in this gym, that begs to be seen. We'll see. Again, I'm not saying that anything was going to happen. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with those men. They looked extremely nice. I'm not saying anything about them. I'm just saying I didn't want to put myself in that kind of position where something could happen. And I didn't feel safe enough to stay in a position where something could happen. So, if you're going to do stuff like that, be safe about it, be smart about it, and especially like if you are having gut instincts that say run away, run the fuck away. So yeah, that does change up my workout schedule a little bit, and I will be working out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And currently, if I'm doing those kind of workouts at the Civic Center, at the gym areas, I will not be doing weightlifting unless someone is with me, or I will be just doing treadmill with some cardio with the possibly using the dumbbells in the future. So I just wanted to interject that here and let you know that my plans have already changed since filming this, but not drastically. So carry on. And then Monday through Friday, I have a different a different core subject that I want to study. And then on Saturday, I have one of the extracurriculars where I'll alternate between two different ones every Saturday. So basically all week long, between all of the hours I'll be putting in, 30 minutes on Monday, 30 minutes on Tuesday, an hour on Wednesday, 30 minutes on Thursday, 30 minutes on Friday, an hour on Saturday, and 30 minutes on Sunday. Between all of those, I will get 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of studying done every week across multiple different subjects. So, yeah, I'm trying to keep it as easy on myself as I possibly can. Then the other thing I think is important for a personal curriculum, and I have seen some people talk about this, but not a lot of people talking about this, because the way a lot of people are talking about doing the personal curriculum, they are just doing it for themselves. So it's more like, here's my reading assignment for the month kind of thing. I wanted to do it more like school. So I wanted to be able to demonstrate my knowledge. And this comes from achievements with either online tests or assignments, especially with like that first thing I'm doing with the language arts. It's got a whole bunch of questions that I'll have to answer about the different books. That is how I'm going to demonstrate my knowledge with that. And then with everything else, especially like this book, How to Make Love Like a Porn Star, I will do like essays where I do papers or I do a video essay talking about what I've learned. The other thing I can do is like, especially with like different things like the foreign language, I can't necessarily do it with these cards. I can test my knowledge with the kids with these cards or other people with these cards. However, the other thing I can do is, depending on, like Math Planet allows you to earn certifications, I believe. One of the sites I looked at, I don't remember if it was Math Planet or if it was a different one I was looking at, allow you to do like earn certifications. So that's a possibility. But basically what it comes down to is that as I'm learning all these things, I want to be able to demonstrate what I've learned in some form or fashion. With art, I will have a physical thing I can show. With music, I will have a physical thing I can play, and people will be able to hear it, possibly, whether it's my family or anyone else. Sign language, obviously, I'll be able to demonstrate my knowledge that way with just being able, the fact that I can be able to do sign language. But between the personal essays, the video essays, and the assignments that I've been assigned, I want to be able to demonstrate what I've learned. I don't think there is a point. That's not exactly right. I think there is a point to learning things, but I don't think there's a point in learning things that you're going to just forget about as soon as they're done. Like, I'm very much the kind of person that as soon as I finish reading something, I will forget everything it said within like 20 minutes. But this way I can show not only what I've learned, but help myself retain that information by doing these demonstrations. So that is the point of that, at least for me personally. Pardon the wind, but I wanted to clarify something here real quick, in the fact that I am just talking about for me personally. I am not talking about anyone else in this instant. For me personally, there is no point in doing a personal curriculum unless I am getting something out of it. In this case, I am using the different subjects to either further my career or broaden my information, broaden my knowledge in information that I could use in my career, or I'm using it as research basis for characters, books, future projects. Even the art and music does have a purpose to it, because I'm learning to read music again. I'm so out of practice, this isn't funny. And I do have characters that are in bands and write music, so like that is helping me too. The art, I need to learn more about how cover design works. Hello, I am filming here. Is there something you need? No? Okay. So like, I'm learning about all this information, and there is a purpose to it in the long run. Otherwise, I could just get away with watching the TV show just to watch it, or reading the book just to read it as a form of entertainment. And that kind of defeats the purpose, in my personal opinion, for me personally, of doing it as a curriculum, as like a school basis. I could just be doing it to do it otherwise. I'm not forcing myself to do it for such a XYZ amount of time or on certain days or anything like that. There is a purpose to everything I am doing for me personally. I'm not saying that other people can't do it different ways. I'm just saying that this is how I'm doing it, and this is why I'm doing it this way, and why I need to be able to demonstrate said knowledge so that I can retain the information I'm learning and be able to draw it back out if someone were to talk to me about this information or ask me about this information. so that I can show that yes, I am learning it, yes, I am retaining it, and here is how I am learning it and retaining it, and for what purpose I am learning it and retaining it for. So, just to clarify that real quick before anyone comes at my throat and being like, she said I meant for me. Just me, no one else. So, carry on. Anyone else who does the personal curriculum can do it your way, but for me, I need a way to help me retain that information to show that I understood said information, and that is how I plan on doing that. So that's what I'll be doing for my own personal curriculum. If you made it this far in the video, feel free to leave me any kind of emoji dealing with school, whether that's like a graduation cap, a school building, a student, a backpack, anything school related. And my question for you is, are you doing a personal curriculum, and what kind of topics are you learning? How are you measuring your success with said topics? Let me know in the description below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, Dragonlings.